Hey everybody, come follow me, study time again. So we're in Matthew, Mark to 10, Mark 5, Luke 9. Again, these don't marry up exactly, different authors, and the chapter part, if you're still wondering, that's put in way later after these are written. So stories will line up. Now, some of these are around the same time as last week's, and I said that to you last week, that when you're going to read this week, you're going to be like, hang on a minute, we already covered that story, maybe not in depth. So the way that it's broken up in the Come Follow Me manual is to try and give it a theme rather than here's an event, let's study the event, which is what they've done previously. This time it's more of a here's a theme. So what's the theme for this week, right? So what I drew from it is that this is basically Christ showing us how to minister, how to go about and do things. It's basically compassionate detours, if you will, and also then like how to do that, but then like the why in that, and like how it can apply to us, like the how it reaches us and how we can reach others. Just really does that, teaches us that, and so much in it. So like rich reading, and some of it will be repetitive to you, but don't worry, it's not a lot of reading, and I'm sure you're quite capable as a family or an individual to get through this. So let's just look at chapter 9. Now I'm going to look at the chapter heading, and then we're going to move over to Mark 5 where the stories really work this week. But these are all included too in Matthew 9. And some of the things that we covered last week this week, So the chapter heading for chapter 9 says, Jesus forgives sins, heals a paralytic, and calls Matthew. Jesus eats with sinners, heals a woman who touches his garment, and raises Jairus' daughter to life. He opens the eyes of the blind, casts out a devil, and preaches the gospel. He doesn't just cast out a devil, he casts out like a lot. And this is the whole thing. And this happened according to the scriptures and historically, any evidence we have, this happened all within the space of like 24 hours. That's a big day. That's a lot. Anyone who's gone about serving others and ministering to others knows that that's a lot of stuff to give of yourself in 24 hours. So you feel that. So daily compassionate detours is what I've called this one. So this is a little short, but let's get to it. So this was Jesus's day. Do you think it was planned exactly? No, it wasn't. He kind of probably had an idea of who was going to come to him, because it's Christ, right? But it wasn't planned exactly. He didn't know who exactly was going to turn up, who he was going to encounter on his way as they came seeking for him to be healed. He didn't know exactly who was going to turn up. He hadn't planned it exactly. But note all the things he accomplished as he was led by need. So instead of looking for, this person needs fixing, it was waiting for that person to come to him. And that's always been his way of being, is his invitation to come follow me. That's what he says. He will reach for you, and we will talk about that as well. But he never will force his way in the door and say, right, let me fix your life. No, he will never do that. He will wait for you to go to him, and then he's, of course, absolutely just there going, let me at it. But it's you that has to do that letting part. So what can your daily compassionate detours be? Because this is all the things that he did as he went, just walking around and going from like little town to little village. And I can't really think of anywhere that you would walk around like that these days. I'm sure there are in the world. Maybe it would probably be even around your neighborhood of the city you live in. I can't imagine it in our modern world like a comparative. I would say probably just even watch how any of our 12 apostles or first presidency, when they go to like a temple rededication or a devotional of any sort, and you'll see them on social media, you'll see highlights of that. But you know that within that day they've had other detours, compassionate detours, being led by the need. So they do the same thing. So you might see a photo of them shaking hands with some people, but you know for sure they have counseled a bishop, talked sweetly to a child, probably even given a blessing to someone else, and they don't go telling about it. They keep it sacred to their hearts and special where it is, but you know that they would do that So this is true ministering in its form, how to do that. This is what we do. We live a life of compassionate detours. So in your planning of your day, do you have this like so structured or so overscheduled that you miss opportunities to serve and minister? Or are you thinking, oh, okay, I have these 5 things to accomplish today. 2 of them absolutely need to be done. 4 of them I'd really like to get done, and the other one could wait till tomorrow. That allows some leeway to be able to do that compassionate ministering, that compassionate detour for the need, whatever that need might be. And it may even be that what you perceive as a need might not actually be that need when you get there. And you need to adjust that again and go, oh, okay, so what does the Lord want me to do now? So it's that relationship, but also that following of how to minister. So this is the Lord really showing us here how to best go about ministering and giving service, and how to love people rather than just tick boxes, because we know that doesn't work. Now, from President Hunter, this is like 1987, I think. It's about like closing doors, opening windows, or something like that. He says it. Anyway, he says, at various times in our lives, probably at repeated times in our lives, we do not have to acknowledge that God knows what we do not know. So, let's start that again. Too many words. At various times in our lives, probably at repeated times in our lives, we do have to acknowledge that God knows what we do not know and sees what we do not see. Our detours and disappointments are the straight and narrow path to Him. So what we go about is thinking like, oh, for example, I had to post something post office, and I had to, and then as we know these days, that's a nightmare in itself. And then I need to go to the supermarket. That's incredibly stressful as well. And then I was trying to fit in some other things at the same time. And if I didn't get those other things done, not a big deal. And it was just already quite a full day for me. And they will look different for everyone, of course, but for me that was a full day of just proportions. And I was in the post office writing out what I had to send. I had it organised, I had it done. Now, this is also a place where you in New Zealand can relicense your car, so that it has, like, you pay the tax, I guess, or whatever it is, to help the roads and pay all the traffic stuff that we use, keeping us safe, right? So this man was really trying to find this and having trouble on his phone. Now, he was an older gentleman, and I said, do you mind if I help you? And I was able to help him out. And then he went to the counter, found out he'd already done this one, and it was the wrong car, and he had to go home and get another form, which he did. And he came and he says to me, look, I'm really sorry I wasted your time. It wasn't even this car. And I quite happily, and truly meaning too, actually, I said to him, it wasn't a waste of time because I got to talk to you. So those are the kind of compassionate detours. To him, I was a great help, even though it turned out that wasn't what he actually needed help for. And that's not the point. The point is he then knew good people are out there willing to help him and just be just nice. And he said, like, you need to talk anytime, you can talk to me. I said, oh, I'm really good. But, like, he wasn't being creepy. He was totally being legit nice and trying to repay the favor. But it was just that whole, if I had just been focused on my tasks, I wouldn't have even asked if he needed help. So there are compassionate detours. And our detours and disappointments, like what to my mind may have caused me more time, was actually the straight and narrow path to Christ, because of the service I'm giving, if that makes sense. So I hope that does it. And you'll see that this week as we go through it. And in my insights 3, 4, and 5 are the same story, but they get mixed in together. So yeah, it's a good week for studying actually the actual good way to minister the best, modeled by Christ himself. Fantastic stuff. So hang around, we'll go for insight number 2, and we'll talk about the guy that had all the demons in him, because boy, a lot of us can imagine what that feels like, or may even know from personal experience. So hang around, we'll talk about that one. I'll see you there.